Well, you can see I'm getting to the end of putting the rotating assembly together. Crankshaft polished up really nice. I do have a correct dipstick tube in it now, as the original dipstick tube was not in the vehicle, which kind of hard to understand how they ever had the right amount of oil in it if they didn't know if the dipstick tube wasn't reading correctly. But two-piece rear main seal. He installed the two-piece rubber rear main seal in this one from BOP Engineering. Thank you guys. We also have their one-piece engine gasket set. Oil pan gasket set, which is pretty awesome. It's an expensive piece, but it should seal up really well, and it's probably even reusable. I did get a correct upper dipstick tube in case it's different than the one that we have, and a proper dipstick for it, which we can check against the one that's in there to see if it's different. But I'm going to go ahead and put this last rod bearing on, torque it down, probably stick my heads on it. I think it'll be just fine when it's done. Rolls over nice and smooth. Everything's locked down. Well, we decided to get a Edelbrock cam and lifters set. Oh. Are we going to go for a three-peat? Well, apparently Edelbrock is in bed with Cam's company now. So, I guess I'll go ahead and get my heads put on this and stuff another Cam's cam in here and lube it up really good with Molly and see what happens. I did add oiling grooves with the Cam's oil and groove tool. So I think I'm also going to pull the inner springs out of the heads. That's a lot more work, but it should help me ensure a good break-in. So I went ahead and I removed all of the inner springs from the heads. I'm going to run this cam in without the inner springs. It gives me about 120 psi at full lift, which is a lot less than what it was. I didn't check it before I pulled all the springs, but I pulled all the springs out. The customer said he's fine with going with the Edelbrock flat tappet kit. We're going to give it a shot. I'm trying to think of a couple ways I could test lifter rotation before I spin the engine over. I did read an article about somebody turning the cam with a drill and testing the lifters to make sure they rotate. I don't know. Never heard of doing that before, but might be worth trying. I may actually try and find an engine test run stand to run this so I can actually mark the push rods and watch to make sure that they are rotating while I do the break-in, because then, like, if I have a problem, I can change it out on the engine stand a lot easier than in the car. It's a lot less work. So, and since I'm gun shy, this is the first cam I've had eat a lifter off in 10 minutes of run time, so it's a first for me, but judging by the general news in the world today, it probably won't be the last one. There is basically one place making all of these camshafts except for the specialty houses, and they're 2 weeks out before we can get one. So we're going to try this Edelbrock, which is actually a comp cams cam, and move forward. Let's get it loaded up. What's the good word? Don't do it, Rich. You're destined for disaster. I don't know. Round 2. Reload. Grab a hold of your bump stick. Ugh, gooey. It's like snot. Adheres to camshaft and lifters during storage and break-in. Pretty good. Edelbrock Performer Plus camshafts, camshafts, are ground specifically for use with the corresponding Performer manifold. This is the same red goo as in the packet. Might be. High pressure points, MPZ. Yep, that's the same red goo in the packet. At least it looks like it is. Race-proven technology. It's basically the same stuff as my engine assembly lube is from Lucas. High irritant. Don't rub your eyes with this stuff, guys. A lot of people seem to think that they just don't care how they grind their camshafts, and that's part of the problem. I find that hard to believe. I mean, I would think if it wasn't profitable, they would just raise the price of the camshaft $100 and continue to put out a quality product. I know the hydraulic rollers are great. Manufacturers started using hydraulic rollers in the right around 1996. That's when the EPA mandated for better emissions, which meant they had to take the zinc out of the oils to allow for better catalytic converters. So, of course, diesel engines have been using roller rockers since back in the day. The 6.5, 6.2 diesels used roller lifters in them. Back in the when did the 6.2 diesel come out? Early 80s, something like that. Oh, it's so gooey. Got our oiling hole, which floods this puppy with lubricant. Keeps our chain and our fuel pump actuator very well lubricated. It's got a hole that sprays out and another one that drops down. Well, I'm getting ready to put my oil pan on. This was the dipstick tube that I pulled out. It just wasn't there. It was probably fished out of the drain pan, of the drain plug at one point. Got a new lower dipstick tube, new middle dipstick tube, and a new upper dipstick tube that's correct for Pontiac with AC. I pulled my inner valve springs for this next cam break-in because I'm a little gun shy after having the last cam fail on me, so I'm going to do more work and hopefully not have it fail on me again. I pulled my oil pump apart, cleaned it out. Oil pump drive shaft is in, my roller set's in, my front cover's torqued. So I'm going to try out this new one-piece new one-piece oil pan gasket. That's going to be the next thing to go on. Glue our pan down, we can flip it over. Ironically, put this cam lube on the cam and lifters a week ago, and then it was Turkey Day, and now I'm back on this thing. And all of that stuff has left the cam in a week. You probably can't really see it down there. Let me find a light. You can see the red on the lifters, but it's not anywhere near as thick as what I was expecting it to be. Maybe that's enough, I don't know. I did end up picking up some Stay Lube engine assembly lube, which is basically the same thing as the red stuff in the pack, but this is a lot thicker, so we're going to see if it sticks. I put some dollops on top of each cam lobe and turn it upside down, and we'll see how much of it drips off or if it stays. I think it might stay, I don't know. We'll find out. So this gasket's pretty awesome. It's a metal impregnated rubberized seal, one piece all the way around. I'm going to put a dab of non-hardening sealer at each corner, and that'll be pretty much it. I might do it on the insides too. Let me get my oil pan cleaned up. We'll get it dropped on there and torqued down. So I had this engine sitting upside down for, I don't know, a week, and all the assembly lube that I put on these droplets, that one came off, but it's a lot more rigid of a base, and it's going to stick to the cam better if these things get stored. So I think I'm going to try this Stay Lube out from the next engines I do. So you guys are probably wondering, what the heck are you doing, Rich? Well, I'm building an engine run stand for this Pontiac. I'm also building it in a way that I can interchange it out for small block Chevy and AMC, and inline 6 AMCs, and whatever else I end up working on here in the future. I've got a Chrysler build in the future too. So I'm setting it up so that I can run these things in out of the car to make sure the cams are broken in correctly. Actually, I'll show you what I did with this Pontiac motor. I'm getting ready to basically build a cradle to hold it with, and then I'll have another cradle to hold its radiator with, so I can just fill it up with water, some makeshift exhaust, fire it up, use my timing light for my tack, have a mechanical oil pressure on it so I know what's going on there, and basically just monitor it for the break-in. But I also modified valve covers so that I can watch to make sure that my push rods are rotating, because if I fire it up and my push rods aren't rotating, I'm going to shut it down, and we're going to get another cam and do it again. Hopefully I won't destroy the bottom end when this thing fires up and we do our next cam break-in. We're going to try it again. We're going to see if we can beat the woes of flat tappet cams right now. I'm pretty sure I did everything right the last time. I did have the distributor walk on me, so I had thought I detonated it. And it's possible that I caused some of the damage to the bearings, to the rod bearings. The mains looked amazing. The rods were just destroyed. So we're going to run it in on a stand, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have the stand built and have this thing mocked up so I can run it in. So you can see I made windows in the old valve covers that I have laying around. I got paint marks on my push rods so I can watch all my push rods rotate. If they're not rotating, then we're going to shut it down. Basically, I'm going to build this stand out of some leftover pieces I picked up from Gingway around the corner here. So So I've got about $50 in materials. I'll have a few hours putting it together, and then we'll run this thing in. That's where we're at with the Pontiac engine. I've been trying to stay on it and get it done. Got the engine all assembled. Basically, I'm down to priming the oil system, getting the cooling system mocked up to it so that it'll work and operate while I do the engine run in. And with these older engines, you can do it. I mean, it's one wire to the distributor that's hot, since it's an HEI, and a battery and a cooling system. And I'm just going to use the radiator that's out of this vehicle for it, with its radiator hoses and its fan shroud and all that. I'll just mock it up so that it sits right in front of the cooling fan, and it can just let it do its thing. And a fuel system, of course. But you know, that's what you do. Stuff breaks, it goes sideways, you take it back apart and do it again. I'm just trying to not have to pull it in and out over the fender and front bumper of the car a bunch of times. So we're going to run it out of the car. We're going to see if the cam breaks in. Once the engine stand is built and it's mocked up, I will do the engine run in. We will hopefully make it 30 minutes without having to shut it down. If that happens, then I'm actually going to pull the intake, pull the valley back off. We're going to verify our lifters all look good before we put this engine back in the car. So yeah, it's a lot of extra work, but I want the job to be done correctly, and I want it to be done right, because it's my name on the building, and that's the way I want to do it. So it's going to take a little longer to get it done that way, but at least I'll know that it's done, and it's done correctly, and I'll know when it leaves. There's no question as to what the integrity of the insides of this engine will be. So with that, click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Tell us what you think about our modern day metallurgy problems. Apparently the new Ford trucks are not even making it off the rollbacks before they're having problems and having engine replacements. So we've got metallurgy problems all over the world right now. Definitely in, you know, old school engine stuff. At any rate, thanks for watching. Have a safe day, guys. We'll see you on the next one.